and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. You see, it says live video is starting, and I never know if it starts or not. Now it says I'm live. So hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses. Or if you're already doing how to grow your business. So got a question from Matt. It says, are you going to make a video about how to negotiate a short sale and what to do if a bank wants the house publicly marketed on MLS? So you may not like my answer, but my advice is to never, ever negotiate a short sale yourself. Ever. So first, let's talk about what a short sale is, and then I'm going to talk about why I feel so strongly about never doing it yourself. A short sale is when a lender is owed a certain amount of money. Let's just take simple numbers, for example. Lender's owed $500,000, but you as an investor can only pay $300,000, and there is a process where the lender may agree to take less than the value of the property if the property changes hands. Now, once in a while, you get a short payoff where they'll even allow the borrower to stay. Very rare. Most of the time, the lender says, we'll take a beating, but only if you sell the property to somebody that's not like your cousin or your brother and somebody else takes it. Now, the reason why I feel so strongly about not doing the negotiations yourself are twofold. The short sale negotiation process is two issues to it. One is experience and knowledge of dealing with all the servicers. So let's take a step back. When you get a mortgage, you can get a mortgage from a big bank like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase. They may or may not service the loan themselves. They may sell the servicing to another company. So there are plenty of servicers out there who service for them. SLS, like loan servicing, SPS, like portfolio servicing, Mr. Cooper. There's a million other servicers. Each of those servicers, every single one of them, has a different process on how to approve a short sale. Some of them, most of them, require that you're late on your mortgage, right? So what happened in 2008, 2009 is that people were making the mortgage payments, but the value of the property was so much lower that they said, I want a short sale, right? I have a $400,000 loan and my house is worth $200,000 after the drop. And the servicers told people, you got to miss 3 payments because we're not talking to you until you miss 3 payments, right? If you're making payments, we'll deal with it. So people did that, and then they didn't get the short sale, and then there was all kinds of lawsuits. They were told not to make payments, all kinds of crazy things. There are services that'll let you do it without being late, but very, very rare. So, but every single servicer has a different process on how it has to be done. And you're talking very often to people who are not exactly the brightest bulbs in the bunch. Now, there are very good people that work in the short sale departments, but you've got to understand that's a loss mitigation department. That's a department of the bank where we're losing money for sure. We just want to lose as little as we have to. So they're not putting exactly their best and brightest in these departments, and there's a lot of turnover. So you could talk to someone, they tell you X, Y, and Z, and then you send the package in, and the new person goes, you need A, B, and C. You only sent us X, Y, and Z. Also, a big factor, besides knowing each servicer, what they want, what they're going to require, and the general process is, if you want someone to negotiate this for you, you're going to get an authorization form to let them talk on your behalf. Then they're going to send in a bunch of documents, and then usually the lender is going to send out a sort of an appraisal situation or a BPO, a broker price opinion. And now there are servicers that if the BPO comes in for $400,000, they're never going to go a dime below $400,000. And there are servicers who have some flexibility, or there are services that you can possibly say, hey, listen, like I didn't go in the house is a disaster. Here are pictures. Here is an engineer's report. Here is contractor's estimate. It needs a lot of work. And sometimes they will think about it, and there are services who won't. So to know which services are really worth spending your time on is a tremendous pain in the ass. Even to know, it's a lot of experience to know, and then things change over. But the second part is this is very, very time consuming. Very time consuming. Getting the paperwork, submitting the paperwork, calling them up to see if somebody touched the paperwork, and you can get on the document treadmill, which means it's a crazy situation. You send in your documents, send in everything. They don't look at it for 6 weeks, and then they go, sorry, everything needs to be within 30 days. And you're like, well, I sent it to you 6 weeks ago. You didn't look at it for 45 days. And they go, yeah, we don't give a shit. So you have to send in new docs, and this can happen again and again and again. So it's very time consuming. So because of those two factors, that it's time consuming, and you really need to know what you're doing, knowing what you're doing will be helpful, because there are short sales that will never happen, right? Never. That never have a snowball's chance in hell of happening, and you might spend 12 hours working on it, but if you knew that servicer will never ever give you a short sale in this situation, you wouldn't have done it. So the beauty of using a short sale negotiator, I use a great one called, her name is Karina Prudencio. Maybe I'll put her information in the notes. is the short sale negotiator will do all this work for you and hopefully have the product knowledge experience in dealing with these people for free. It costs you nothing, zero. The short sale negotiator is almost always, I'd say always, a realtor who gets paid a commission only if and when the deal closes. So think about one of the biggest pains in the ass you've ever had in your life, and someone says they'll do it for you for free. Even if it closes, the money doesn't come out of your pocket, right? Every single dime that gets paid at the closing comes out of the lender's pocket. So in the example I gave, if you owe $500,000 and they agree to sell to you for $300,000, they're also agreeing to pay 6% to a realtor. They're also agreeing to pay all the title charges. They may or may not agree to pay taxes that are due. All the things that come out of the lender's end. You are coming with your $300,000. Now you have to pay your closing costs. That could be $10,000, but you don't have to pay any of the seller's costs. But the point is, if you have a short sale negotiator, they're doing it for you for free. And very often they're spending a tremendous amount of time, and it doesn't work. I just had a deal that I thought was a home run, and the lender changed their number by $100,000, like in the last minute. And it's not going to work, and there's nothing I can do about it. But you know what? I didn't put that much time in, right? I gave a small earnest money deposit to hold the contract. Oh, so another step I didn't tell you. So if you're an investor and you want to buy a property, that's a short sale situation where you want to pay less than is owed, you also have to actually show them a contract. And you may have to show an earnest money deposit, certainly in New York. And you may have to show proof of funds that shows you can close. That is going to be some of the documents they're going to submit. They're also going to submit all kinds of hardship letters and reasons from the seller as to why they deserve a short sale. There's all kinds of paperwork that's needed. But the short sale negotiator deals with the seller on this. So in my mind, to spend your time on it is nuts, crazy. Because A, I don't know the new servicer whether I'm wasting my time or not. B, I don't know the tips and tricks of the servicer. There are some servicers that if you send them an engineer's report that the property's fallen down, you might get your price. And some that if you send just a contractor's estimate, which is a lot easier to get, you can get your price. I don't know the ins and outs of all these servicers, but a good short sale negotiator does. But second of all, to waste all the time with these morons calling them and asking them what's going on and them telling you, we didn't get this document. And you're like, I sent this document. And they're like, no, I don't see it. And it's in there. It's hours of agony. Agony. I can't. There are a few things I can think of that I'd rather less do than talk to a clerk at a short sale company about getting something approved. It is hard. And then there's negotiations. And very often they don't come in for your price. And you may not be able to buy it at the price that they want. So, another question I get, I might as well deal with this, is why would somebody do a short sale, right? Because what happens a lot, right, it's happened many times, is that a seller says, I want to get paid. I want $100,000. You're getting such a good deal. It's illegal on a short sale to pay the seller anything that's not on the HUD. And there are people who have gone to prison over it, and I will not commit a crime. So what happens a lot is a guy comes and he goes, I have this deal. You can get it hopefully for whatever the hell you want, but I want $50,000. And I say, I'll pay you whatever this lender allows. Also, my short sale negotiator is great at getting people cash for keys and relocation money. I think we had a deal where she got somebody over $20,000. But once you tell them they're not getting money, so then sometimes they ask, well, what's the point? So let's understand there's a few benefits of it. Number one is you control the situation. So the property is not going to go to auction while you're doing the short sale. Number two is they won't come after you for a deficiency judgment, which means that if you do a short sale, if they do a foreclosure, and let's say they foreclose on a property, the situation we gave, they take $300 on a $500,000 balance on the loan, they can't hit you with a $200,000 deficiency judgment. They can't. When you do a short sale, you negotiate that's not going to happen. But also, you can get some money. You can get relocation money, cash for keys if there's other people living in the property. So, those are the three reasons why somebody would want to do a short sale. But I never, ever, ever want to do the negotiations on my part. You get out of your mind. So be careful with short sale negotiators. I've used many. Most of them, so there's really two things you're looking for in a short sale negotiator. One is good communication. Do they answer the phone? Do they call you back in a reasonable amount of time? And two is how much knowledge do they really have? It's very hard to find out the second one. Sometimes somebody will tell you, I had a great experience, and you find out like that was the first one they did. But people that recommend negotiators who've done with a lot of cases, a lot of different servicers, they usually know more. And you want somebody who can communicate. So Karina Prudencio is awesome. I recommend her. I'm going to put her in the show notes. And I would say that you should never, ever do it yourself because it doesn't cost you a penny. So I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways that can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in a study at home program I have where you can learn how to do what I do, go to howtoflipnewyorkcourse.com. What else? Oh, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up and please keep the comments coming. This came from a comment. I post 5 times a week. I don't always know what to say, so your comments help me. If it's a simple, it does not. You can ask a question. Does not have to be about any. It does not have to be at all about what the video you watched. If there's a simple answer, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something I've covered recently, I'll send you a link to a video. And if it's something new or I haven't covered in a while, I will do a brand new video on it. So thank you very, very much for watching.